Mamushi would be far more terrifying than any other divine tree human, but the factor is actually because of a phrase referred to as love. Yeah, I don't know exactly what sentence is appropriate to describe today's topic, but at least it is what it is. Oh yeah, I'm Nim. I'd be happy if you guys like this video as support. Love you all. So we are back again to this topic. Actually, after chapter 24 came out, there are many very interesting things to discuss. But at least for about 8 minutes, we will start from a divine tree human named Mamushi and also love as a supporting topic. But before that, you should know that Mamushi is the manifestation of a bug, a researcher, but more precisely a technician, and fills a support role in the Kara organization and has a very loyal nature to Jigen or Ishiki. Bug became increasingly important after Ishiki Otsutsuki's death, as he became the only one who understood the intricacies of Kara technology and the Karma Seal in depth, but more precisely about the cyborgs named EIDA and DAEMON. Because after Amado disposed of EIDA and DAEMON, Bug was one of the people assigned to guard the place where they were discarded. In fact, in some of the latest chapters of Boruto Next Generations, there was a moment where Bug revealed the weakness of Daemon's reflection ability. But if assumed clearly, Bug is a side character who is not too important, but actually his role is so important after becoming a divine tree human. So yeah. In chapter 19, there's a certain reaction that might be worth considering. When Hidari and Jura talk about love as a fatal weakness, for some reason I get the feeling that Mamushi isn't really interested in the concept of love, something that could actually pose a threat to them. Mamushi's target is EIDA, someone who so far knows the most about love. And of course, someone who can make anyone fall for her. But right now, there's one Hitoshinju who isn't affected by EIDA's ability at all. And more precisely, he is the only one who can see EIDA when she uses Senrigan eyes. Yeah, Mamushi. In conclusion, will Mamushi be the only one who remains unaffected by the concept of love, something that poses a real threat to the others? Just how terrifying could Mamushi become in the future? Out of context, we all know that EIDA's charm ability is not affected by Otsutsuki as explained. Does that mean that as a divine tree human, it would apply too? But for this case, I'd love to hear your opinions, guys. Oh yeah, even though we know that every divine tree human has their own target based on instinct, or can also be referred to as the person they love the most, such as Hidari with Sarada, Matsuri with Konohamaru, Ryu with Gaara, Jura with Naruto, and Mamushi with EIDA. And in your personal opinion, among them, whose love is the most emotional and selfish? By the way, my bad if I'm not very good at describing love, because I'm personally very bad about love. Anyway, in my personal opinion, Ryu or Shinki's love is the most emotional and selfish love. The reason is because Gaara adopted Shinki as his son. It must be when Shinki is in a difficult condition. This makes Shinki will be obsessed with Gaara. No matter what happens, even the stakes are his own life, he will do whatever it takes to save Gaara. Maybe more precisely, the same as Kawaki, who is obsessed with Naruto. But if the case is based on the topic this time, that is, Mamushi, how did Mamushi's instincts and deepest feelings for EIDA lead to Mamushi targeting her? Maybe more precisely, the love that Mamushi has is the love of an ordinary man for a woman. I mean, the point of view of his love must be different from Matsuri's. Because if we go back to the actual facts, Bug fell in love with EIDA because of a shinjutsu that automatically charmed him, right? So, yeah. So far, we've understood the concept and background of Bug and also how the concept of love will affect Mamushi to EIDA. So that means there are now 2 possible reasons why Mamushi will become a tree man who is far more terrifying than the others. Except for Jura. First, based on the information at the beginning that Bug is one of the scientists or technicians working with Boro, we have seen Bug operating a tablet. This gives us information that Bug has the same skills as Amado, although not as genius as Amado, because at least any information about Kara and some cyborgs is very important. Plus, based on Chapter 19's brief discussion about love, Mamushi gives a gesture or reaction that doesn't seem at all interested in the concept of love. And if at the beginning I asked you guys whether or not divine tree humans are unaffected by the charm shinjutsu, based on my opinion, it's likely that Mamushi won't be either. After all, the base of a divine tree human is an innocent beast, right? So that means I'm guessing that Shinju is the exception to EIDA's charm shinjutsu. And indeed, if in the end this is wrong and the opposite, then I suspect that it is likely that the love experienced by Bug or Mamushi for EIDA will change from affection to a sense of control or revenge. Because when Bug first became drawn to EIDA, he was just like everyone else. He had feelings for her, a kind of affection that might have been genuinely sincere. But after years of being with EIDA, that love gradually changed. From a pure and sincere love, it turned into a love that wanted control, almost like he wanted to get back at her for all the bad things she had done to him over the years. Because as an analogy, when Mamushi first saw how Jura made Code suffer with the arm that Jura severed, Mamushi mocked Code, and it was as if he was very satisfied to see Code humiliated like that. In other words, Mamushi's response can be interpreted as the hatred experienced by Bug during his lifetime, and it shows up in Mamushi. Because, of course, besides EIDA or DAEMON, Code is also one of the people who mistreats Bug. For example, dragging Bug into Code's personal problems, which led to Bug being devoured by Claw Grime. Well, if Bug has this kind of response to Code, then what about DAEMON and EIDA? Of course, he hates them too. Incidentally, he has feelings for EIDA, so that feeling of love is an excuse to take revenge for the bad treatment he has received so far. And in the end, Mamushi will become extremely dangerous because he once played an important role in the Kara organization due to his knowledge about several cyborgs, including EIDA and DAEMON. This means that Mamushi, as the manifestation of Bug, likely possesses a wealth of information, including the weaknesses of DAEMON, who holds a powerful reflection ability. Secondly, Mamushi is also one of the divine tree humans who is not at all interested in a concept called love, because the last time the tree humans felt love, Matsuri, who was supposed to kill Konohamaru, ended up with a betrayal. Thirdly, aside from being a divine tree humanoid, Mamushi is the only known Shinju who can perceive EIDA's Senrigan ability, while the other tree humans cannot. This strongly suggests that Mamushi might also be immune to EIDA's alluring Shinjutsu. And even if this theory is eventually disproven and it turns out that Mamushi is affected by EIDA's ability, I still believe that, as the manifestation of Bug, Mamushi has enough information to counter EIDA's charm-based Shinjutsu. Wouldn't that make sense? Because once again, even DAEMON, with all his overwhelming power, had his ability known and understood by Bug. So it's only logical to assume he knows just as much, if not more, about EIDA. But yeah, again, this is just an analysis and also a prediction. If there are some parts or explanations that you might think are wrong, let's discuss it in the comments, and whatever your thoughts and opinions are, I will be happy to hear them. Thanks for watching, like and subs. I'm Nim. See you in the next episode. Bye bye, Data Bio.